Special webinar. Olympian Meb Keflezighi kind enough to join us just a week away from running the Boston Marathon. Meb, pleasure to have you as always. How are you doing tonight?
Hey Varun, I'm delighted to be here, and thanks everybody for joining on behalf of Generation UCAN to listen to some of the tips from the nutrition aspect of it when I train for Boston and the rest of the other things that goes with it. Thanks for having me.
I'm Varun Sriram, your host. Meb and I will be here for the next about 45 minutes to an hour, chatting about a variety of things and definitely answering your questions. So if there's anything you'd like me to pose directly to Meb, you guys have the question tool in the GoToWebinar app, and feel free to fire away, and I'll definitely do my best to get whatever you all want to know answered from Meb. But Meb, you're in sunny Mammoth, California, and been out there for I guess about a month or so now training. What is it about Mammoth that has you liking to go there before you get prepared for a big race?
Well, thanks again. Mammoth's been a special place for me ever since we came with UCLA. I used to come here for a week, Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, and I fell in love with it. I always end up running more than I want to, or more than what was scheduled. Just trying to figure out what next trail is, and then. But in 2001, when Coach Joe Vijo and Bob Larson wanted to change it to distance running, we came up to Mammoth Lakes with me in mind and Dina Caster for the female, and I came up here and trained for 3 weeks, and I broke the American record. And it was me and Phil Price from Arkansas that we took that journey, the first one to get here, and decided on the way drive to San Diego as well. If I break that record or something, which I didn't think I was in shape because of altitude, it was very deceiving. And said if I break the record, I will buy a place here. And in 2002, I bought a place, and then I was a resident here for until last summer, June 3rd, in fact, or mid-June, and moved back to San Diego. But I kept coming back. I like to come back to Mammoth and train the beautiful Eastern Sierras. And there's very small community, loving community, and this is where my records were made, and also won silver medal training in Mammoth Lake. So I feel like this has a great spot for me.
Boston is always a big deal, and of course, this year I guess it takes added significance in the running community after what happened last year. For you personally, did you know right away that I'm going to be running Boston? This year after that terrible tragedy, did you know right away that you wanted to be part of this event?
Yeah, I was there in Boston when, tomorrow will be the anniversary of the tragic bomb explosion in Boston, and I have it on YouTube. You can check it out. That all the pictures that I took like I don't know, like 50 to 80 pictures, probably just enjoying not being a runner for that moment because due to injury I pulled out, and but I wanted to start watching the race on the hotel, and then I just didn't feel right, and I'm always going to press conferences or drug testing right after I'm done. I never get to enjoy people run, and it was a phenomenal day to see people finish famous Boylston Street, and I was just taking a lot of pictures, and you can check, like I said, you can check it out on Meb training for the Boston 2014, and all those pictures I took myself, and I was watching it there, and then 5 minutes to spare. I had an appointment, and then for Universal Sports, and then the bomb exploded after I left. But yeah, I knew. I think I told USA Today right after it happened. We were in the Copley Center that I would like to come back and run it just because I mean, runners, that's what we do, and be able to come back. I was committed to it right away, and I'm definitely excited to be part of it in a small part. But I know it's going to be very emotional, very uh, influential race, and I feel healthy to be getting to the starting line, which I didn't do last year. So and see what happens in a week from today. We'll have a really great day, and everybody just enthusiastic finishing the finish of the Boston Marathon, and hope to be in the lead and be part of it.
For you, anytime it's a race like Boston, New York, one of the the majors. As a competitor, I know the competitive juices must get flowing. What's the mentality this time around? I'm sure you're just as competitive as ever, but would you say at all this time around more than some other Bostons? There's that sense of just like being a part of it, regardless of how the result goes for you. I mean, are you looking at this in any way differently than you have other Boston marathons you've trained and prepared for?
I mean, and I think that training for Boston is always great because I really believe for the average runner not it's the Olympics for the average runners. They will have to qualify, have to earn to be there, and it's a ceremonial thing and participatory for family events, and whether your partner or father or mother or sister or brother, everybody comes to support, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. And so, and to be the greatest, the oldest marathon in the planet, and always delighted and have the opportunity to be part of it. And 2006, I'll be honest, 2006 was probably my best shot at winning it, and because I was really in great shape. I came to Mammoth, trained for 3 weeks, and everything going was really well. And then 2010, I wasn't 100% going in, and then still finished faster than I did in 2006. But I made some tactical mistakes in 2006. Now, you know, 8 years later, the body's not the same to say, but yeah, I feel strong and healthy, and I hope to be competitive and then give it a shot. And but every day versus you think about Boston, but every day getting ready for this year has been very emotional. I think about it every day that I go out for a run. There's a reason behind it. Just so in that way, it's different versus I'm doing Boston, but now it's for different reasons, just motivation-wise. So it's at the higher level.
As you've been training, this time around, I know you were feeling really, really good, and then had a little injury right before the New York City Half Marathon, which is the last time you competed. How does the body feel now? Just a week away.
Yeah, I did have a little setback with a hamstring issue before New York half marathon, but my goal was to finish, and I actually ran 63. Considering I think I probably had a minor tear in the hamstring, and yeah, since then it's been really good. Actually, I've been at altitude, and training's been good. I had a little bit of a little stiff quad last week. I didn't miss a day. I just took a day off. I did a biking and just I love giving advice to people. Listen to your body, but then I have to apply to myself, which is not an easy thing to do. So, but everything I did my last hard intervals today. I did my long runs, and I feel, I feel prepared and to the best that I can. And the rest of this, I really believe that should be fun and exciting. And I done what I can, not by myself, but with many supporters here. I'm staying with Gary Ackerman, who's been my massage guy for a long time. He's hosting me here, and people have been cooking for me. People have been pacing me. People pick me up. So it's the first time I came back since I sold my house. So it's been a very great community event. And what Mammoth always does is have great people around, and I feel healthy and strong, ready to go.
You talked about the first time you ran Boston, 2006, and here we are. As you said, 8 years later, you're still, one of the guys that people look at that's going to be in that lead pack, and definitely going to be in contention. We kind of saw this similarly with you with the Olympics. 2012. Many said it could be your last hurrah. Now we're just 2 years away. You're still strong, still fit, and who knows about 2016. So with every runner, I think there's kind of a motivation, something people run for. In some cases, it's charity. Some cases, it might just be health, fitness, but that I think that idea of running for something or having something drive you is very intrinsic to the sport of running. For you, Meb, what has it been that's driven you, to keep putting the miles on your body and keep kind of attempting to compete at a high level for so long?
Varun, that it has been my God-given talent was discovered in seventh grade. That's what keeps me going. I feel that God had created me to be a runner in many ways and influence people. And sometimes you want to think about retirement and doing other things, but for me, it gave me a big hope to go to London, and that's the way I wanted to go out for the Olympics at least. And but never say never, and I feel like that fourth place gave me a big boost of confidence. to be able to finish fourth and at the Olympic Games is huge at 37. And now that I'm still running strong, close to where I was running, and if I could be competitive, why not? Why stop and keep going? And now that we are 2014, getting ready for the Boston Marathon, like I said, 8 years later than the first time I stepped there, I feel good and strong, and that's what racing is. I have done what I can to prepare for myself, and I know others are preparing themselves as well also, and maybe the best man or the best woman may win.
With any successful athlete, especially at the elite level, I think whatever sport it is, you always hear them talk about this idea of one day at a time, one game at a time, and I'm sure you've adopted that mentality for yourself to kind of keep you focused in the moment and to be successful. But I got to imagine there's times, where you've also allowed yourself to sit back and think big picture, think long term. Maybe if I had talked to you, say, 2 years ago, Meb, would and said, we're coming into Boston 2014. We're going to be talking about Meb competing in the race, running at the elite level. Is that something that was part of your big picture plan at the time?
No, no, actually, that was not big part picture of the plan. In fact, I thought it would be 2013 New York City Marathon would be my last marathon. So that has changed, and I thought I was going to retire last year, and the Olympics, and then New York. That's where I started, and I hope to potentially finish it there. But I feel. Things definitely changed after the Olympics. Not that I surprised myself. I thought I could go for a shot for bronze. I didn't think I was a contender for gold or silver with the mentality of going to the Olympics. But I know if I played smart and everything goes my way, and I could go hunt for the bronze. But nothing went my way. In fact, I had a side ache and big blisters, and I faded away. But I just wanted to finish because I wanted to quit about 13 miles into the London Olympic Games, and I decided, quitting is not my best. You have to dig deep and find something motivation. And I had New York lined up as my last marathon. I had a silver medal already in my pocket, and I decided, what? But I'm wearing the USA jersey. I had to finish, no matter how many people come from behind and pass me. I just got to get the finish line, and that kind of changed the perspective and positive reinforcement in my mind. And also my kids and family friends were watching at the race. So if I tell my girls to do their best every time, stopping or not finishing that's not my best. It's gonna come and hunt me. So I just decided to go to the finish line, and slowly I just picked up people left and right, and I ended up getting fourth place, which is happily and honored to be able to accept it, because to say I was fourth at the Olympics is huge, and to do it 8 years later after I won the silver medal is even bigger. So I didn't go to Beijing for a reason, because I was injured, and I thought I could get another medal in Beijing, and that opportunity didn't happen because of injury. And the USA selecting of the Olympic team is very fair. You got to be top three, and if you don't make top three, you don't go. I didn't go, but I really thought watching the race on TV with my wife, I said, definitely Sammy Wanjuru would not have been he ran out of his mind, but I think silver or bronze would have been I would have contend for.
That's interesting. So it's kind of what some regrets you may have had at that time in your career. I guess you couldn't have imagined having so many opportunities to compete at a high level. It's interesting to hear how you kind of view things a few years ago.
Well, we all go through peaks of life, and we are motivated people. And when you bear in mind, most people don't know that 2004 happened between a lot of online and a lot of before Twitter or Facebook. The Olympic Games in Athens was my fourth marathon ever for me. I only done New York, which it was my first one, and went really bad. I hit the wall hard, but I went for the win, and I faltered. I finished ninth, and then I went to Chicago, tried to get to break the 2:12, which I missed by 35 seconds in my first marathon to get to the Olympics. And then I did the trial. The trials were not my ideal kind of preparation. I was sick. I had tendonitis. I had the virus, and I barely almost tell coach I don't think I'm ready to go to the trials. But we worked very hard and play catch up and finished second to Alan Culpepper. And my best chances of medaling probably in the 2004 was the 10K. But I had to make a decision whether to do the 10K, which I made a team on, and the marathon. And I wanted to be able to do U.S. distance running, and I thought it would be in the marathon to be a contender, and we were really ready for it. And I wasn't going to be picky what color I'm going to get. I didn't think I would get a gold because the gold was, in my mind, I had it, handed it to Paul Turgot, who was 5 minutes faster than me. But anybody else on that hilly, hot, and tough course in Athens, I can give them a run for their money and challenge them, and I did, and I ended up getting a silver medal behind Stefano Boldini, who won the gold. But then at that point, same token, you're thinking ahead, Beijing. I think I could get a gold, or I think I could get another medal. But unfortunately, I didn't make the team, and so that's physically because of a pelvis fracture, what in retrospect, and then my good friend Ryan Shea who passed away that race, and so mentally and physically and emotionally I was depleted, but I never gave up on my dreams, and I made my new Olympics, and that was the New York City Marathon. I tell my brother and my coach and my wife that say, hey, I guess my Olympics will be New York, and I won it. And the silver medalist from Beijing was there, and the 4-time Boston champion was there. James Combine was there with 2:04:24, and so I was just, that was my dream come true, as whether it's the Olympics or just the New York City Marathon. So, and then started thinking 2012, and I was happy to make it for my girls more so than for myself to the Olympic Games in 2012. And Jordanos, my wife, never been to the Olympics either, so all 50 family and friends, and went to London to watch me, and there was a lot of pressure getting to the sideline healthy.
Meb, you've talked about your family here a few different times, using your girls as motivation not to drop out. And, you are definitely, I know family is a big part of your life. And I'm not sure if everybody listening in kind of knows your whole family story and the journey you've been on to come to this country and to represent the USA as a runner. Take us back. Where did you grow up, and when did you come to the U.S.?
Well, I'll give you a little short synopsis, but for those of you guys that are listening, I would love for you to read the Run to Overcome, my autobiography. But it started with a humble beginning of Eritrea, where my life was unpredictable, or my brother and sisters, because of the war that was going on with Ethiopia and Eritrea for independence, and it lasted eventually 31 years. But I was born in 1975, which started in 1961, so I was in the middle of the war, and Dad was wanted by the Ethiopian soldiers, or he's going to get killed, or he's going to get prison. And my mom had to try to talk to him to say, you know what, why don't you flee somewhere to a safe place? And he decided to take the journey to Sudan, which was 225 miles, and he did it in about 7 days, which is 30 miles a day, more than a marathon a day. But he has to mend in, and just imagine closing your eyes thinking in the wilderness, you just have to go, you're going to go one direction toward the northeast of it, or west, I'm sorry, and then just go to, be careful with the animals, whether it's from hyenas, lions, scorpions, snakes, or robbers, or even the soldiers in themselves. But he took that risk, which leaving behind a wife and 5 kids and one on the way, and the name of the child they didn't know what gender is going to be, but we trust that one day we will get connected. And he happened to be a boy, which is Bimnet, and also the girl is going to be Amina, which we trust that would hopefully make the safe land and get connected. And with God's mercy, he was able to make it to Sudan, and he was there for about 2 years. He worked 2 to 3 different jobs, and then he made it to Italy. And then once he got to Italy, Milano, that is, he got acquainted with his boss. My dad always does things the right way, but very hard, and and he got acquainted with his boss with a PhD in economics, and he basically said, can I borrow money to save my family? And he said, how much do you need? He said 10,000 lira, which is about $6,000 US dollars in 1985 or so, which is a lot of money. But the boss asked him if this is to save one person or how many, and he says, no, this is for everybody. And my dad had saved some money also, but with the help of Dr. Brindicci, who gave him the 10,000 lira, which is $6,000 US dollar, in an envelope as a gift to save us, and that's how we got saved. And we made it to Italy and lived in Italy. Believe it or not, I understand about 90% of Italian. I used to speak it fluently, and that's where my some of my memory started, and then we lived there for a year and a half, and then we went to Sweden. They put us in a refugee camp, and then they sent us back to Italy. We tried to go to Canada, but then we didn't get accepted, and we tried to go to the United States, and through my help of my sister Ruth and her uncles that live in San Diego sponsored us to come with the Red Cross, and we landed here in the United States on October 21st, 1987, in beautiful San Diego, California, and we didn't speak English. We only had the clothes on our back and few cultural items. Other than that, just empty, and new culture, new language, no finance. But my parents told us this opportunity is rare, and they didn't have it, but that's what they sacrificed to do for their kids. They could have been happy in Italy and where there's freedom, where there's education, and they can go back and forth to Eritrea. So it got independence much more frequent, but they really wanted the land have opportunity for all the brothers and siblings. So there's 7 of us coming to U.S. One of them was born at Hannah was born, my sister in Italy, and they said if you work hard, you're gonna do good, and don't. This opportunity is rare, and we didn't have it. The uncles don't have it, your cousins have. Don't waste it. So we didn't, and we worked. We worked hard. My dad used to wake up about 4:30 to learn English before 7:30 school started, and you know, it was difficult, but at the same time, we had one mission and to do the best we can. And I might not get no notoriety for what I have accomplished in terms of running, but all my brothers and sisters have gone to do great things. All gone to college, graduated college, and one of them is a freshman at San Diego State. But everybody has a positive contributor to society, and we've been very fortunate. And my brother was in ninth grade. He got the most outstanding trophy, even though he's just 1987. They just put him from like sixth grade into ninth grade, but he worked very hard and got the most outstanding student. And that trophy, which is the size of my hand, is that's proudly displayed in our parents' house. And I might have won many other medals, trophies, state titles, or national titles and whatnot, but that's the prominent one that is spent in the parents' living room. But that gave us hope of what can be achieved in the United States, and we have gone and hopefully achieve many things and try to be positive influence.
That's quite a story, Meb, and I know that you used that, for inspiration as you were during the New York City Marathon when you were going through some trouble. You've talked about it, how you used your dad's story to kind of push you through and keep you from giving up. We have a whole bunch of questions, and I want to start to address some of these just to make sure we don't run out of time here. So,
but before you do that, I would just say, Varun, in 2000, I mean, I have finished one New York, finished the silver medal, and then finished fourth at the Olympic Games, but also finishing last year in New York under not prepared like everybody else. We all hurt. And for me, at 19.3, mileage is important for a marathon, and I didn't have it. But since it was New York, because of what happened in Boston, because of what happened with Hurricane Sandy, I went to New York, and that race meant a lot to me because at 19.3, my body just shut down, couldn't even take the next step. I had to walk, and I overcompensated. But I realized, you know what? I only got about 7 miles to go. I thought about the people, the mob in Boston, the people that came the year before for New York, and my dad walking 225 miles. I said, I just got 7 miles. So if I have to walk, and I have to do it, and I know what it feels to win it. Second place, third place, sixth place, and ninth place. But that was rare point I could have just stopped. But for me, I always try to dig deep and try to finish as best that I can, because I didn't fall down or run out, but I was depleted. But it was the most difficult thing I ever did, and I feel proud to finish just like the many other thousands, hundreds of people who finished the races. So that was a great, and people are still talking about it because sometimes doing your best is not going to happen every day, but you got to dig deep and finish the race.
it's quite a I know quite a scene, that iconic picture with you and the gentleman Mike from Staten Island crossing the finish line hand in hand is something that a lot of people will remember about the New York City Marathon. And I think the challenges that you went through is something that a lot of runners do feel in the marathon, when whether it's an injury or just the pain of the distance. A lot of people, I'm sure, are determined to, or not determined to give up, but faced with that struggle of whether or not to give up. So what you use for motivation, I think it's something that people can relate to. Everybody has something in their life as well that they can use to draw on in that time where they need that strength.
But you saw that happen a lot, before the bomb explosion happened in Boston. When I was sitting down and watching, I wanted to write a speech about marathoning because that's what people were doing. They were helping each other out. Somebody fall, they get up, all they hold hands crossing the finish line because it's a milestone that you achieve. And for me, I was hurting bad, and Mike Cassidy. Many people say, "Let's go, man, let's go, man." I'm like, I can't go anymore. But when Mike came, I thought it was 2 miles, but I said the last 3 miles, I was hurting bad. I tried to tucking behind them, and I said, what, let's help each other get that finish line. I know you're hurting, I'm hurting. We're gonna hold hands and cross the finish line. That's what probably most runners do, and it was a great, it was great finish for both of us, and that has led to a great friendship with Mike and his family. So I'm honored to have done that race with him, and and he wrote a beautiful, beautiful blog about it, the experience that he had, which for me, I just saw him as another runner who was helping me get to that finish line.
So Meb, let's take some questions here. We got as you can imagine, a whole bunch of questions here coming in from the audience. So and a lot of them, of course, are tied into to nutrition. Thomas asks kind of a general question. He says, "What foods are most important for runners?" But let me tailor that slightly. To you, Meb, what foods do you focus on eating? Maybe when you're in the most heavy volume of your training.
Oh, I'll tell you what I did today. I was the last hard effort before intervals and before Boston. I had a bagel with eggs before I went for a run, which I have to drive about 40 miles to 4,000 feet. I'm in Mammoth Lakes, obviously, going to Round Valley or Bishop, and then once I get there, I do my warm up and use electrolyte during my workouts, and then afterward, the first thing I did before I even start stretching after my run is UCAN, chocolate flavor, and a 10 ounce of water. Shake it, you have it ready to go. And I come back here. I had banana on the way, and then I come here. I have more eggs and salad and fruits like blueberries, and I put cheese on it a little bit with the salad, blueberry, and then tomatoes. Then also that's my lunch, and I'm looking forward to having a big dinner and fruits and snacks in between. So, you try, and I eat a lot of fruits. In fact, it's what I do with my girls between 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. That's our family time, me and my daughter times. And in fact, Jordan is not a great fruit eater, but when it's ready, I prepare it and she eats. But it's something that I do now. I have to be careful what my calories intake are as I cut back mileage, but it's just experience with it. Protein on hard days is essential, and a carbohydrate the night before, carb load before the night before or 2 days before, and then probably after Thursday I'm going to start doing more carb load. Where right now I'm doing more protein.
Is nutrition something for you that has changed in terms of how much you focused on it when you're 25, 30 versus now?
Yes, nutrition has been some huge, probably one of the biggest changes that I have done in my training, and is after 35 or 35, I think I could eat anything and everything with all the miles that I was not got away with it. But then the scales start the scales start not going down, and the watch doesn't lie, or the scale doesn't lie either. So I have to do really monitor my diet. And when I was in college, I used to take a lot, maybe 4,500 to 5,000 calories probably, but now I'm reducing it probably to more like 2,500 maybe or so. So yeah, I have to go all wheat now when I eat versus just regular pasta, or now I do brown pasta, brown rice, or a lot of wheat versus before was whatever works.
Definitely. And as part of that, I mean, what difference have you noticed as you've kind of tinkered with your diet? As you just mentioned, with the focus on protein and with the wheats instead of the white rices and the pastas. Have you noticed anything that you can really put your finger on in terms of the way you feel?
Yeah, and the way you feel, I feel night and day when I eat some things, and then also the scale. Also, I think when I eat much more whole wheat and stuff, is the scale is more trimmer, or my body's trimmer. You can tell, and you know, me myself struggle with weight, believe it or not, and I have to be very careful because everything is precise and accuracy of efficiency. And for me, even sometimes I just do salad for lunch, where I used to have, you know, sandwiches, or I used to have pasta or rice. But now I just do uh, salad. Maybe I put a little protein, whether it's eggs or some, I also do beef jerky that gives a little bit of flavor. And so you have to have a balance. A lot of more greens, a lot of more fruits, a lot of more brown stuff versus just plain white bread or pasta, the regular ones. I have to be very careful on, and I can tell the energy level of myself and my body, just what changes that is occurring.
Let's move it on to Matthew. Matthew wants to know, Meb, how did you come to use UCAN, and how do you primarily use it in training and racing?
Well, Matthew, I get became to use Generation UCAN in 2009 to a good friend, Dr. Chris Austin, and she introduced me to it. Let me try it, and then I tried it and fell in love with it immediately. And then we started talking with the corporation and got a sponsorship. But before that, I have to everything that I do, I always try first. And I was after I won New York in 2009. I was doing a lot of appearances and travels, and I used it, even when I wasn't running. It helped me trim down. In fact, Jen Ryan, who was training Mammoth Lake, is like, "You're doing a lot of miles. You look very thin." And I'm like, "No, so you can," and it helps with the fat burning and keeps you trim. So I was fortunate enough to realize it early on, and ever since I haven't stopped using it yet. In fact, every hard day which is about three times a week, or maybe sometimes four. I look forward to that. My body is craving for it.
So, Meb, this is actually interesting what you brought up because we had a let me see if I can find it. We had a question that related to using, oh yeah, from Christy. So Christy had said that, well, actually, first of all, Christy says, by the way, I love Mammoth Lakes, grew up in San Diego and went to Convict Lake every summer for about 15 years. You familiar with Convict Lake, Meb?
Oh yeah, I know Convict Lake. In fact, in Convict is where my two oldest daughters went to school, private there at a homeschool. That is. So yeah, I Convict is nice. I've done a run around Convict, and sometimes in the winter that road is open, the access road. I'll go do a run there, and I spent many times at by the lake. In fact, by Green Church Road that leads to the Convict Lake. So yeah, it's pretty nice. In fact, every day when I come, I'll go. I usually go by that. So fond memory of Convict Lake. Nice to know that she grew up in San Diego. Also, beautiful place.
It sure is. And so Christy basically says she's looking for, trying to get some nutrition tips to teach her body to burn more fat. And she's using UCAN to help her prepare for a half Ironman. So I think to that extent, Meb, when you were using UCAN outside of the workout, as you were talking about, between appearances, when you weren't, your training load wasn't so high, and you were using it to help you stay lean, how were you using it? Where were you timing it in your day, and what was your rationale behind using it?
I used to use it when I was traveling a lot, just because you go into hotels and you have to order and you have to be somewhere, and I just use it in the morning right away when I get up, and have that, and then after give me if I'm going to an appointment or meetings or appearances, I will have that, and then because when you do an early morning rises, you need something right away, and I do that, and then also on the plane sometimes I just have my shaker with me, and you have a choice to make. If you don't need, you know, that they don't have a good food, then that's a packet that you need just need a water and shake and use it, and then that, it gives you sustained energy. For me, in fact, like today, I had, a hard run, and I have to drive 40 miles, and then once I come here, I have to take my B vitamins and vitamin B and 6B12 for altitude absorption for our red blood cells, and but I'll do that with orange juice. I have to have something in between, and I come here. I'm not looking. Where's the food? So it gives me a good 2 3 hours of sustained energy. So you have to use it. You should have it available at your disposal, because whether you get stuck in traffic or you're doing something, it's something that you can have easily access as long as you have water and a water bottle or a shaker, and it's pretty easy, and you can last for a while. So I definitely recommend it throughout the day. Sometimes before dinner or something, it's a good snack to have.
So yeah, Christy, I think just to piggyback off a couple things Meb said, if you're looking to use UCAN to teach your body to burn fat, using it at those times of the day where you might be prone to cravings, or you might really, even though it is a drink, treating it as Meb said as a healthy snack. Will be a great start to get to teach your body to burn fat. And then even as Meb mentioned, after a hard workout, a lot of times people you feel so hungry that you may overcompensate, but using UCAN, immediately after a tough workout to keep your blood sugar stable, to allow you to continue burning fat, and also to really be able to tide you over. Meb says he's got a 40-minute drive, and then he's got kind of a whole other things to do in his routine before he's able to sit down for a proper meal. So using UCAN in that window after a tough workout, or even as he mentioned before dinner, will really allow you to go into those meals with a much more controlled feeling of hunger, where it's easier to make the right nutrition choices. So, Christy, hopefully that helps you out. Daniel Meb asks how you use UCAN the days leading up to the marathon, and then also the day of the marathon.
Um, Daniel, this is a great question. I've used it before, about an hour and a half, an hour, 15 minutes before I start my warm up, which is before the gun goes off. To use that, the prominent flavor, and I used the plain flavor before to give me the sustained energy, and I also use it a lot more after, because I think that it's starting to use the new. I think the All American is going to be the first time in North Carolina that the more electrolyte stuff that you can use during the race. So and I use it immediately. The first thing I look forward to after the finish is for recovery. I mean, people say I'm sore, I'm this, and every hard workout, every race and whatnot, or I use it. So that's how I have used it, and I look forward to using it during the race with the new groundbreak electrolyte that I'm starting to have during the race, which is going to be introduced at the May 4th in North Carolina at the All American Marathon.
Yeah, and to just pick up on what Meb's alluding to, you can we'll be coming out with a brand new no sugar, no calorie electrolyte drink. So it's simply meant for hydration. So that's something that for those of you that don't know, we will be and Meb will be joining us in Fayetteville, North Carolina, for the All American Marathon on May 4th through the Fort Bragg military installation, and that race will actually be serving both our carbohydrate-based sports nutrition drink on the course at 3 fuel stops during the race, and also our brand new electrolyte drink at every water stop during the race as well for hydration. So that's something that we'll definitely be posting more info about. Should be available very soon in the upcoming weeks. But Meb, nice little teaser for that. We're excited about that. Vicky wants to know, when you talked about using UCAN during the day, are you primarily using the protein UCAN as a snack when you use it during the day?
Yes, Vicky, that's what I usually use it for, as a snack, but also more so, the very important thing. I think that's one of the secret tools is, when you finish any hard workout, interval, long run, or tempos, whenever you put hard effort, don't wait on something else or fruits. Have that immediately. That's gonna see such a big difference. And I would try obviously way before ahead of time, but I guarantee you they have for me, it's my favorite is chocolate. If you like chocolate vanilla, you are in some for a good treat.
Meb, what about eating before a run? What do you like to, outside of UCAN, what do you like to eat in terms of food before a run?
I always have a toast and tea. I love having tea, and then now I do a little bit of almond butter, or also eggs, or a little sausage. Depends when I'm gonna go out the door, how long a drive I have. Like today, I had a toast and eggs and almond butter because I have 40 miles to digest it and whatnot, and warm up and stretch and all that stuff. So, it all varies, but sometimes I used to go when I was at UCLA. In fact, I used to not eat anything, and that was a big mistake because sometimes you eat dinner at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, or latest at 8. You have gone almost like 12 hours without anything in your system, so you need to have something, and that's where you can, and that's come handy, or banana or something like that. Well, depends when you're gonna get going early and how much time you have before you start your workout.
Let's see, Meb. We got a lot of people. People love picking your brain on this stuff. The questions are coming in rapid fire, so just trying to see which ones we can give to you that you haven't already answered. This is actually an interesting one from Corey. He says, "What do you think about during the course of a race? In other words, what are some common thoughts that race through your mind? Do you have a singular focus, or he says, do you lose focus like me and start thinking about your grocery list or how you're going to pig out after the race is over? What goes through your mind, Meb?"
That definitely has happened in training. I'm looking forward to what dinner is like today. I'm meeting with people who supported me through whether it's pacing or cooking or hosting me here in Mammoth Lakes. I'm going to go to a restaurant, and that was definitely my mind without during training. But during the race, it changes constantly. Sometimes I'm just concentrating when the Pledge of Allegiance has been sung. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm totally clued into it. Just like I'm clued into it the race when the race goes on, then I'm looking who's in the lead, who's going to be a factor, and then depends what part of the race, who's going to challenge me or who I'm going to challenge, or what their strengths and weaknesses are. And sometimes I simply just pray and internally, and this is hurting, or the next mile, 2 miles going to hurt, so just God help me through it. And other times I'm thinking about my family or what's going on in their life or how fortunate I am to have the life that I have. Sometimes simply I'm like, I can't believe this is my job running. So there's so different things go through your mind, and sometimes you're studying the mechanics of others to see if they're feeling strong or weak or whatnot. And I hope I never really enjoy scenery besides London. It's probably the only time that I did, but sometimes you do go when you do a few races together. I know, like right now, I'm reading Bill Rogers' book, The Marathon Man, and he's describing the course, and I can relate. I can refresh my mind about the race, but and when I go to run New York, obviously, I've been that many times, but even though I know where I am and how far I have left, so that kind of you think about those what happened before. Sometimes good memories, sometimes other bad memories. So when I'm, I just try to be in the moment usually, and be in the moment and try to lose focus. And when I go by Ryan Shea where he fell, I think about him every time, and whether it's running or racing or just simply training. So that's, when I'm in Mammoth Lake, the same thing. There've been so many people that have gone through here, friend of mine, and I think about them. Each remind me wherever the location are. So I just try to be in the moment and think positive, and when it comes to race, I'll try to focus on my mechanic, just like I do in training. Hopefully, stretch it out to finish strong.
There's for you, I guess what's also different than a lot of other runners experience, and this would be true for any elite runner, pro runner, is the marathon's very strategic for you, right? You're also very much paying attention to what the people around you are doing as well.
Varun, and a lot of people say, run your own race. Your marathon is just running. It's all tactics and strategy, planning, and that's what life is. That's marathon is a challenge, and you gotta have a plan. You gotta try to execute the plan to the best that you can, And the same thing with life or going to school or going to work. You gotta have a plan and execute that plan to the best that you can, and your boss will be happy, you'll be happy, and it's a win-win situation. But for me, I think 90% is mental coming to the race. Is now that I've done the work, I know I covered 26 miles a marathon already, and I've done intervals. I got the tempo. Now, how can I execute the best day for me that I can? But I can never run my own race because, if I'm going for a win, five, 10, 5, 7 guys go, I have to go, even though I'm out of my comfort zone or I don't feel good or it's not the best move at the moment. But if you're not in the hunt, then you're gonna get left behind, and then 5 of them might fall back, but 2 of them will survive. So, are you going for conservative fourth place finish or third place finish, or are you going for the shot at the title? And that's why, like 2006 Boston, I made a mistake, but I was at world record pace to 102.44 when the world record was 205 something. But hey, you're going for the win, you're gonna go for the win. It doesn't matter, because it wasn't me leading, it was somebody else in front of me, and I'm trying to contend for the title. And I came back home with 107. And it was a long day. I looked halfway. I said it's gonna be a great PR day, or it's gonna be a long day. But unfortunately, it was a long day. And Boston, if you can make it a split, is better than you can do in the first half. So a tough course, and life is about patience. Marathon's about patience. Definitely, Boston is about being patient. And I hope in a week people are not too crazy about the first half, and it can be modest pace, but at the same time a solid effort and even pace.
And I've got to think that's one of the toughest things to do, especially when it takes a lot of discipline, especially if you're feeling good in the early stages of the race, not to really push it because you never know how you're going to feel towards the end stretch of that marathon. Meb, we've got you for about another 12 minutes or so. Going to still try to plow through some more of these questions, and we've got several more about nutrition. Let's, for a minute, switch topics, and a couple folks asking you about just recovering from injuries and some of the strategies you've used. Lauren says, have you struggled with knee injuries? And besides rest, what did you do to recover? So I guess the second part of that question, you could talk whether it's a knee injury or not. What have you done as a strategy to recover when it's any type of injury?
Well, first for the knee injury, sometimes we feel so much impact on our knee, but we need to pay attention to our quads, hamstring, and glutes. If I am not very flexible on my glutes. I have that trouble, but knee is where the shock absorption is, and you're gonna feel it there. So I would just strengthen the quads, strengthen the glutes, and the hamstring. And injuries are part of the sport. I mean, I wish we can avoid it, but we can't. So cross training is another besides rest is be the best judge. And if it doesn't irritate it, whether it is going on a bike or going riding elliptical, which I've been doing recently a lot when I had the soleus tear and other injuries. Even sometimes just instead of running 30 minutes run, I would just ride that for an hour, the elliptical, and just listen to your body. And it's easy to say, hard to apply, but in fact, I have to apply it last Thursday. Take a day off. If you feel something, take a day off because you'd rather just bounce back immediately than say, oh, it's going to warm up, and then it leads to more problems. I've done that so many times. That's why I missed Boston last year. That's why I missed London in 2005. So, by taking a day off when you're feeling something, or it's going to save you big relief. And we don't we runners are not in a great mood when we miss days or injuries. So so might as well just put on your calendar sometimes, what, I'm just going to take a day off, and you be okay with it, because one day is not going to, you don't lose fitness in 3 weeks. You might not feel mechanically sound or lethargic, you might feel that, but, physiologically you won't lose it for 3 weeks. So, what, once in a while, just spare the moment and say, what, I feel something, I'm going to take a day off. And easy to say, hard to apply, and I have to apply it last week myself, and I feel happy that I did, because I know what has led me before. It's not a good sight. So I'm happy now that it's behind me.
And hard to apply is right, but hopefully that's actually what you said is very valuable. If people can say, look, Meb is able to convince himself that it's beneficial to take a day off before, a week and a half, 2 weeks before Boston, then hopefully they can apply that same perspective to themselves. Let's see. Corey says that Corey recently completed my second full marathon. My training seems to go according to plan, yet my race performance is hampered by serious cramping issues in both quads and hamstrings. I know it's tough to diagnose this Meb from far away, but I guess Corey's looking for some advice in general about cramping as possible culprits. So when you've experienced cramping, have you kind of thought to yourself, I need to revisit my training, or have you thought more that it's due to your diet in terms of your nutrition and hydration?
For Corey on that one, I think is training is always important, but also, your potassium is important. So bananas are good. Electrolytes are huge. Most cramping happen because of dehydration or lack of electrolytes. So load up on that. I mean, that's sometimes you don't get the support system that I do. I don't know if you do or not, but I try to get on my long runs or intervals or tempos every 3 miles, just like a race. I get my electrolytes, and put a little bit of salt on your diet, just because sometimes you sweat it out and you kind of get depleted. So, and I'm still a competitor, so I don't want to give all my advice away, but like like the day I took a day off, like I said, I mean, I didn't take a day off. I just went on the stationary bike because I didn't have my elliptical here in Mammoth. But I was like, well, I could have, it did me good, but sometimes, you don't want to give the wrong impression to the competitors and taking a day off. But you guys are especially who are tuned in today to get that treat. I didn't Twitter it, but I feel like I should. But down the road, I would love to give more advice but 2016 is around the corner, so I'm trying to keep all my secrets to me and take advantage of it because I know that I have close competitors that follow my tweets and see what I'm doing. So sometimes I'm not revealing all my secret trainings.
That's right, Meb. We might have to get you to throw off the scent of some of the competitors. Say love fueling with an entire large pizza this morning. It worked great. Well, so this kind of relates to what you were talking about. Kong asks, in most months, how many true fully at full rest days would you even take? And this might be along the lines of what you were just talking about. If you rather not reveal, that's more than okay. But is rest when you're in the meat of training something that's typical?
I talk with I have definitely changed my training logs for this marathon and last marathon. I'm taking more recovery days and how frequent I can't reveal that just because I'm doing all my tempos, long runs, intervals, but I've definitely taken space in between. And, sometimes I talk about taking a day off and I do it, if it's 30-minute run, I would just rather just be spending time with my family, even though I should run 30 minutes or 5 miles or 6 miles, but I'm like, is that really going to make a big difference? Being healthy is the most important thing. So instead that rest is also as good as training. You have to know your body and you know don't push the envelope too far. I encourage you to push the envelope, but don't push it too far because it's gonna go into pieces and it's not a good sight. And you'd rather say, you know what, I feel I'm gonna take a day off and come refresh and have a good week or have a good month versus, oh, it's how many miles I do. That's silly. It's mentally tough to take a day off for anybody because we like routine, we like discipline, we like to feel like we earned the dessert food or the meal. So including myself, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna run an extra mile or so or two just so I can have whatever I want.
Meb, we got a couple more quick ones on nutrition, and then we'll begin to wrap this up. But Vicky asks, when we were talking about your meals before a run, do you adjust your pre-run meal based on the type of workout that you're doing, whether it's an interval, a tempo, a long run? And I guess, are you conscious in terms of what you eat for a certain type of workout that you're trying to burn more fat through your nutrition, or how do you kind of balance all those things in terms of that pre-run meal?
Yeah, I mean, Vicky has a great. I definitely do that. I mean, day to day is different. It's not the same thing every day to an extent. Whether it's sometimes I'll have a toast with egg, or sometimes I'll have a toast with almond butter, or today was a long drive away, and if it's 10-minute drive or whatever, I'll modify my diet just because I want to feel good and strong versus having too much food in my stomach. So yeah, you have to vary it, and I do the same thing before my runs. I do the same thing after my runs. I do sandwiches simply, after my easy runs, and I have to be very strict on that, on salad maybe, and then after my hard efforts, whether it's tempo, interval, or long run, I'm eating as much as I can because I got to replenish it, and at the same time, and then maybe bigger dinner or bigger lunch, or vice versa. So, you know, you have to modify and then see what works for you. And if it works for you, stick to it. Some people say train in the same way. Hey, if it works, why not? And then eating the same thing. If it works for you, unless you like to have variety all the time, but sometimes it's okay to have a week of the same diet.
Man, we got one more on nutrition, and this comes from Michael. You talked about the days leading up to the marathon with a little more focus on carbs than you might have in your day to day diet. When you do that, how do you balance your fat intake and your protein intake? Do you try to almost cut fat out of your diet, and how about sugar overall? How much? how sensitive and how much are you trying to cut sugar out of your diet in general?
Michael, that's you know, I don't eliminate all the fat or all the protein and strictly carbohydrate, but more proportional be carbohydrate, but and then also sugar. The sugar part of it, or the I have a sweet tooth, so you have to probably ask my 6 year old on that one what she said. Daddy can't have that all the time just because you're in training, you know. So I'm looking forward to about 3 weeks from today be my 39th birthday, and I look forward. I tell her after Boston, after and my birthday, I will have some delicious food, and you'll see me eat sweets because she's always my mentor. Not mentor, but my allow me to say, you know what, can I have this? Can I have that cookies? Or we are eating with people at restaurants or not? I'm like, and then they will have their desserts and I can't. And I'm like, well, she's nice enough to say, you know what, Daddy, I'll have fruit cake with you or something. So she's my radar to say, you know, you can't have, and she's on my toes. She wants to do what I do every time. It's like, Daddy, I want to be an athlete. I want to eat what you eat, and I'll give her toast and almond butter. And I try to put a little honey for her so she won't get too much bored a little bit with it. But I usually do some honey on myself. But you know, she's a follower of what I would do, and she comes and stretch and does full workout. So nutrition is important, and I gotta, you know, I don't eliminate all my, you know, it would be more protein now than by Wednesday or Thursday. For sure, it's gonna be more carbohydrate, but I don't eliminate the protein either.
Meb, as you were talking about your daughter, I think this is kind of a good transition into one of our final questions coming from Sophia, who says, "What advice would you give to youth runners?"
Oh, you know, that's what I'm trying to do with the Sophia's question with the MEB Foundation, maintain excellent balance through health, education, and fitness. You know, as we will face on Monday, 36,000 people, you know, depending on the age, but majority will be college graduate or college and higher. And for youth, it's just like, hey, start them going outdoors. Then, you know, no TV, no Nintendo games, and this, that. Run, run around the street, you know, couple blocks or sprints about 30 seconds. The more they go outdoors, they're going to be having fun. They be refreshed. I think as as long as you introduce them to sports, I think it will help them set goals. And when they set goals, they're going to be committed. And when they're committed, they're going to be focused. When they focus, I think it will help them with education also. And that's what we try to do with the MEF Foundation. Yeah, it's in the beginning stage of it, but I'd love to do more of that as I narrow down my career.
And I'm sure that's something, yeah, as you know, for people that didn't hear, I just want to say that again. The foundation, the Meb Foundation, maintaining excellent balance, really designed to help kids just focus on education, fitness, just as the name says, you know, that good balance in their life, so they can be successful in a lot of avenues. And Meb, I'm excited. I know to see. Not excited to have you out of running, but whenever that day finally comes, 2040, 2050, excited to see what you do with the foundation. Meb, we'll close it with this from Cassandra, who wants to know: do you use any mental tricks to help you get through the toughest part of races?
That's a great question, Cassandra. Yeah, mental is like I said, 90% is mental on race day, and you can use the advantage and tactics. Sometimes you just breathe harder. People think you're tired, they try to lose you, but bear in mind you're faking it, and you just breathe harder, and then they done all the work for you, right? And then you can refresh again and take over because they use their glycogen and they use their energy to get rid of you and charge you to say 2 to 3 steps to say, you know, breathe harder, breathe harder. I'm dropping. But you know, mentally, you know you're not because you have that strategy. And when it comes to whatever you want, they feel like you're ready to make a move on them, then you take over. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mental games that I use. In fact, I was talking about with Gary Ackman, who's my massage guy here in Mammoth, about that stuff. And you can use a lot of tools. And but I'll give you that. But I have many other tools that I use to my advantage, and I can't reveal them yet.
So if Cassandra's running side by side next to you, Meb, and she hears you breathing heavily, she's gonna know. Don't don't fall for it. But also, like, is there anything kind of you use as a mental trick for yourself? You know, maybe if you're feeling tired, that you tell yourself to kind of to rev yourself up or to keep yourself going.
Yeah, when we all hurt running a marathon. Sometimes we are excited to go to Boston, but it's gonna hurt. At what point is it gonna hurt? And then yeah, you have to say, what, you visualize of what your goal is, and then you have to dig deep and say, hey, I just gotta hang on for another mile. I just gotta hang on for another 30 seconds, and push the pace strong. And so yeah, there's always mental assessment, mental talk, and you have to dig deep to why are you there? Like right now for Boston, it's like, hey, there were people that were tarnished, that got affected by millions last year. Whether like myself, I was there, and others just through TV, and family that we can't even get their lives back, like Martin and three other people who deceased. And, you have to think of those and say, use that to our advantage. You know what? I only got 2 more miles to go. I'm have the able body to be able to push, and you have to think those, and you know, to use your advantage, and they can't be here with us. So you just got to think positive and do it for them, not just for yourself sometimes.
And I'm sure, Meb, what you just alluded to, a lot of runners this year in Boston, especially, will be looking to the folks that tragically aren't able to be there with us for inspiration and drawing on that for strength. Meb, I can't thank you enough. This is just always really fun to chat with you, and I know that just from the comments for each person's question you people are so appreciative of you sharing some of the insight that makes you such a great runner. And I just want to let people know that they will have a couple chances to meet you, Meb. With UCAN, we're thrilled that Meb's joining us for a couple very special events, and will mention them. One of them will be this Saturday in Boston at the Park Plaza Hotel. It's have a 1 hour chance for you to wish Meb luck and take pictures with him. I will send the details to everybody in a follow up email if you'd like to attend. Completely free to attend, and you can also actually check it out via a link I'm going to post in the chat. It's generationucan.com/Boston. You'll be able to see the time. It's 1 to 2 p.m. next Saturday. And if you check out generationucan.com Boston, that's the site with all the details, and you can register for free for the event. And then, like we mentioned earlier, for those of you that are looking for either a marathon, a full marathon, a half marathon, or a 5K to put on your calendar, Meb's kind enough to join us for a really terrific event out in Fayetteville, North Carolina on May 4th. It's the All-American Marathon, which is an inaugural event that will 16 miles of the course will go through the Fort Bragg military installation, and it's really a great opportunity for you folks to come out there, meet Meb, run alongside our troops at Fort Bragg. Many of the people in the race will be active duty military or families of active duty military. So it's really a fun weekend. And for those of you that have practiced fueling with UCAN, like I mentioned earlier, UCAN will be offered both the carbohydrate sports drink and our new electrolyte drink will be offered on the course. So this will be the first chance for those who have loyally carried their UCAN with them in a flask. This will be the first time you can run exclusively with UCAN and do it hands-free without having to worry about carrying a bottle with you. So, Meb, real quick question for you as we wrap up. The All-American Marathon, for you to come join us there. What was the significance of the race to you? And just love you to speak about your thoughts on coming there for the weekend in May.
Well, the name UCAN, when I went to New York, was just appropriate, and to have the you can moment, you can do things, you can dream, you can achieve your dreams is huge. And then to have the All-American race, I'm very excited to go to Fayetteville, North Carolina, to be able to just salute our soldiers and shake hands with them and be able to say, hey, thank you for what they do. And I was born in the war, and this land of opportunity that we breathe every air, and the freedom that we have, that the opportunities is huge, and we wouldn't be able to do it without them. And I just want to be able to be there and say thank you, and interact with them and salute them to say, what, thanks for your services. And I'm happy to Generation UCAN that is allowing me to become there and be there for as part of the festivity.
For anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about that race, posted a URL in the chat, generationucan.com/All-American. Meb, again, just a big thanks. If I read you, everybody that said good luck in Boston, Meb, would be here for another hour. But safe to say that you've got a lot of well wishers in the chat that want to pass on their very best to you. So good luck, Meb. We got another week to go. Training is winding down. I know you've put in the hard work, so we can't wait to see the result of all that hard training next Monday in Boston. And in the meantime, really look forward to catching up with you over the weekend in person.
Sounds great. Thanks again. I wish I could give everybody more time, but I'm very honored, happy to be on this webinar, and looking forward to some of you to meet you down the road, and hopefully in Boston and down the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Meb. To all that joined us tonight, we really appreciate it. If you have any more specific questions about UCAN, I know Meb shared some of his insight, but for anybody that wanted to talk UCAN in specific or kind of had their own training situation that they want some help with, feel free to come see us, like I mentioned, at the event with Meb. We'll also, if you're running the Boston Marathon, have a booth at the expo, booth number 2130. So please do come see us in Boston. You all have my email from being invited to this webinar, so you're more than welcome to ask me any specific questions as well. Thanks for giving up Monday night with Meb, with UCAN. Have a great training. Have a great race for anybody that's running in Boston, and definitely do continue to reach out and keep the conversation going. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.